Hey there, dear Radio Kassel listeners. Captain speaking. No, please don't mess with your dials because today's show will be in English. Once again, our topic is gender role portrayal in digital media and its evolution in video games. Our guest today is a designer from the video game industry. He's, by the way, a level designer and video game designer. So his name is Linus Comet. He will be joining us live to share his experience in this field and help us gain some fresh perspectives. So, without further ado, let's connect with him. Okay, dear Radio Casa listeners, now we are going to talk to Linus Comet. He's working in the video game industry, and he's going to share his experiment in this industry, and we will have some conversation. So we are going to start right now. Let's say hi, Linus.
Hi.
Okay, and we're gonna some have interview questions and but first of all I would like to start with your experience and your current situation in the video game
hmm
industry. Could you please share your current data? I mean, what are doing, what are
Of
working for?
course.
Yeah, okay.
So I was until recently a game design student in Heidelberg, Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I've studied my 3 years for my bachelor in Heidelberg at the SAH. I've never actually worked at a big gaming company yet.
Mm-hmm.
I was involved in lots of game jams and smaller private projects, and I co-founded a small indie company, but left the company after like a year or so because they specialized into something else. So overall, I have like 3 to 4 years experience in all kinds of different smaller game projects, and always in the creative position, game design, level design. Yeah.
Are you a level designer or the designer of the characters? I mean, just video game designer or level designer?
Both.
Oh.
So in my studies, I specialized to level design, but
Mhm.
since I until now only worked in smaller teams, like 3 to 10 people, I was mostly the only designer overall. So I mostly was the creative director, game director, level designer, and game designer, and everything else designer.
So you are such a designer. Oh my god. Okay. I'm now. I have too much enthusiasm about your situation because I think you have too much experience both sides. That's why your perspective will be very important for me for my
Thank you.
study. Okay. What was your motivation to choose this area?
I guess my just overall love for video games. I grew up with games, and yeah, I always had a passion for creating stuff, I think.
Mhm.
So I started in school with creating pen and paper games for my classmates, and that I guess just transitioned into video game making later on.
Okay. And what kind of reaction have you received throughout your career? Or your, you started earlier, so
Yeah.
what what others were saying?
it it's really different. So like my family and generally older people are always confused. They don't really know what I mean when I say, ah, yeah, I'm studying game design. I always have to explain it, but most people are pretty excited about it once they really understood what it is, what I'm doing. And I obviously also often had a very positive reaction from people that just love video games and are like, "Oh my God, you can actually study that! That's so great!" Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
but
I
I really had to
yeah.
convince my parents that it's something you can actually do.
Sometimes telling something to the family is really hard. I can understand, really challenging.
Yeah,
I
it's really
really,
new to a lot of people, and they
yeah.
don't know that it really is a thing that exists.
Okay. And what are you thinking about the job opportunities in video games industry? I mean, is it? I mean, uh, how you are finding your jobs? I mean, which one is offering more options or what offering more positions in the industry? Are they multiple or just offline games, online games? What's happening there?
It's really, really difficult right now, especially in Germany. As I already said, I've never actually worked for a big company, which, yeah, is because it's really difficult to get into games. I'm currently working on my own project with the goal to eventually found an indie studio and make our own game. Mostly because me and my peers from high school all don't really find job opportunities right now. The industry is currently laying off thousands of people, and there are not a lot of opportunities, if at all, for especially junior people. So I can't really tell you where it is easier to get into the industry because I didn't really get into the industry until yet.
Yeah, I see. I understand. But you know already how it has been. So I just want to ask and get the answer. Okay. And let's talk about a little bit about the sexist image and the representation of gender, my subject. So, can you explain the process of game concept creation and character design? I mean, how it is being, why, how you are deciding the characters design, and what are the challenges that you need to face? What's happening there? I would like that.
It obviously is pretty dependent on the context of the game. So it's different from a university project to a game jam project to a project that we intend to publish someday. Speaking of the games that we intend to actually publish, the process starts with a market analysis. We look into, hey, what games, what genres actually sell, and how can we combine that with our own passions and similar skill sets and preferences in game making. And then process starts with a big brainstorm meeting with the goal of having like a big vision statement at the end, defining the basic genre, basic game loop, basic setting, etc. And then the teams depart, like the design team and the programming team start to iterate basic mechanics, and the artists start creating an art style. Yes. I am personally pretty new to character design. During my university, I was primarily focused on game design and level design, but I recently got into narrative and character design a little bit more because it's important for my current game project. And what my process has been like until now is that I start I look at the core themes. We work with something called core emotions. So we say what are the primary emotions or themes that should the game communicate to the player, and I try to communicate that and the world building with the characters. So when I create a character, I think about, okay, what do I want this character to represent from the core emotions of our game? And then I create around that a little backstory, some core character traits, like just a few notes. And I also write how the character should. I'm missing the German word, the English word. How the player should view this character if he sees the character for the first time. Like what impression, that's the word, should the character give to the player. And then I hand it over to the artists and they iterate designs until the design represents these wanted emotions, traits, and impression.
Yeah, and you pointed out something. I would like to ask something about it.
Yes.
Market analysis.
Mhm.
So you're analyzing the market. It's mostly about the commercial aims, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's about mostly the commercial side. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know why I'm asking? Because most of the designers are, feeling so stressful about to say commercial aims, but you were there that as German. I like really this point because you were so free to say that, and you explained everything in one sentence. Actually, I understand what was happening there in one sentence. So I would like to thank you again. No,
No worries.
we're going down uh, and I answered the expectation of the gamers as well right now with your answer. So, do you think that social and cultural factors are affecting the video games? If yes,
Of
how?
course. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think in art and media in general, it is impossible to not be influenced by your culture and your political views. It will, no matter how hard you try to break some stereotypes or prejudices that are in your mind, it will always sip into the stuff you create.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Is it also influencing player behavior? Do you think that it's also affecting the behavior of players?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you also think it is affecting the behavior of players?
Yes,
Yes.
definitely. I mean, media in general influences how we view stuff. We build our political and social views also from the media we consume. So if you always see one specific version of something, I think your worldview will also slightly tilt into that direction.
So, do you think that is also can affect? It also can affect the real life gender norms. Is it possible?
So you mean that how stuff in video games is represented changes the overall social landscape?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's the other way around. I think
Mm-hmm.
that video games represent our culture.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So that whatever our culture and social political views are as a society influences our video games.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay.
And
So
every media different from video games, like just art in general.
yeah, you're right. I'm also in film industry, by the way. I also
Mhm.
see the same problems in the film industry. We are, we are coming from with a historical background, and
Mhm.
but nothing changes. Actually, nothing changes. Actually, yeah, you're
Mm.
right. So, do you think that the gaming industry is male dominated?
I think it definitely was.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't have insights into how the big companies actually are from inside. Um, but I feel like it's shifting, that it's getting better. At least in my personal bubble, in the university, at game jams and like events like the DevCom, Gamescom, I see pretty evenly distributed female and male, and I worked with just as much women
Mm-hmm.
than men. So at least in my personal bubble, I don't think it's really a problem. I can't tell how it is in the big companies, but I feel like it's shifting,
Mm-hmm.
and that women are on the rise in gaming. I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, and to get there, if you talk about the Twitch or other TV
Hmm.
programs, they're really in suffering too much violence, or let me say abusing or something like that. We can see anything sexist there. So you're right. So I don't need to talk about the sexist elements because you have already mentioned about it. And but I could ask that how are male characters in video sorry, how are male characters in video games typically designed and portrayed?
I don't think that you can say that in general
Mm-hmm.
because there are just so many video games and there are all kinds of portrayals of men. Like I
Mm-hmm.
could say, yeah, it's always the stereotypical big masculine hero that saves the day, but that's just not the case. It highly depends on the game, the genre, the country, the company you look at, and I think that there isn't one big stereotypical male in the game industry anymore.
Mm-hmm. How about women
I
characters and
think
also
it's the same.
same LGBT?
Um, I'm not quite sure. I can't remember like right off my head
Well,
from
okay.
any
I see.
LGBTI characters. I personally think that they are often the stereotype
Oh yeah.
or have stereotypical elements. Like for example, what I think about right now is Judy in Cyberpunk. She
Mm-hmm.
is a lesbian, and
Mm-hmm.
she has the stereotypical colored hair, tattoos, piercings, and stuff like that. But I think you could also attribute that to the setting. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, I see. I see. And um, as a personal question will be here,
Mhm.
do you think that sexism in video games is an exaggerated issue? I mean, we are talking about it, and I'm writing a thesis about this. What are you thinking? I mean, could you please give some examples about Gamergate scandal or woke culture? What are you seeing in academy or normal media? I mean, digital media or any kind of media types. What are you seeing?
I definitely think that it is a real thing and a real problem. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
patriarchy is a real thing, and as I said, our society influences our media, so it is obviously represented in our media in video games.
Yeah.
Um, I actually Googled Gamergate before our interview because I never heard of it. 2014, I think, is when
Yeah, yeah.
this was, and this
Yeah.
was before my time. I wasn't in the internet at that
Mm,
point in time. Um, yeah.
yeah, it's happening. It happened and still have the impact on people.
Mhm.
So okay, and we could talk about a little bit about industry future and solutions. I think it will have some directions for us or for new designers. How do you think the gaming industry will evolve in the future?
I personally want to believe that it will only get better from now on. Um, I experience our generation to be really aware of
Mhm.
such things and to improve. And I also think that the industry in general is improving in this regard. Um, Obviously, the political landscape right now all over the world is a bit worrying. I'm looking at the elections in America. um, but I want to believe that it will get better. And I personally believe that education is actually the most important thing in that regard. Because, as I said, I believe that our media just represents our society and what shapes our society and political views, education. Um, I have a personal experience here. A biology teacher of mine once held a lesson where he just showed us, explained to us scientifically how it happens that somebody is born in the wrong body. And
Mm,
if you followed this lesson, it is just physically not possible for you to be transphobic after that because you just know that it is a real thing. So I think education is the most important.
mhm. So, what are you thinking about sexism? Will it going like this in the video game industry, or will it stop? I mean, what are
Uh,
you thinking?
I
Yeah.
mean, it will not stop tomorrow.
Probably.
That's just not how a societal change works. But
Mm,
I think it will get better.
yeah. I hope so.
I see it in my personal bubble, as I said. So
Yeah.
I like in my university, I experienced many semester projects, and the people there are really attentive and find it important to break stereotypes and not be sexist. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, is there anything else you would like to add before our interview finishing off interview?
I don't remember what question it was, but I noticed an anecdote I wanted to tell about representation of
Mm-hmm.
LGBT in
Mm-hmm.
NPCs and just
Yeah.
characters in a video game. What approach I really liked was the one Larian did in Baldur's Gate 3. They introduced the
Mm-hmm.
concept that the NPCs, the romance options in the game, are player sexual. So they are not gay or straight or something else. They just are into whatever the player is right now. And I think that's a really cool way to handle romance options in games.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your all answers and
You're
for this
welcome.
interview. Yeah. Okay. You will receive a video right now after our conversation. So I would like to thank you as a member of Radio Kassel, Kassel and other colleagues. So
Thank you.
I really appreciate to know you and get your experience for my research. So thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you too.
Bye.
You're welcome and have a nice day too. Bye bye.
Bye. Hi again. That brings us to the end of another interview, and we have learned some really valuable insights from Linus. He had some great thoughts, especially on how commercial concerts shape the industry. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I will be looking forward to your questions and comments. You have been listening to Witch's Frequency from me, Münevver Usta, and see you next time. Bye.